What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. You're truly back again with some more Monster Hunter Generations gameplay. Today we are going to be fighting the Gore Magala. Now, I refer to Gore Magala as Maggie. Other people refer to it as just Gore, but Maggie was the term I named this monster Maggie when we were playing in the demo. And I just figured, why not? I mean, some people are going to call it Gore because it's a two-name monster. I can totally see that. But I'm just going to call it Maggie. I mean, why not? But regardless, so here we go. We're fighting Gore Magala. It was the flagship monster of Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. And if you are a returning veteran from 4 Ultimate, then you should pretty much know how to fight this guy. I will say that he has not changed, not a bit. Everything that he's done before is still there. I will confirm that he does have his two forms, his standard form and also his, I want to say, frenzied form, if you will. Not really a frenzy, more like he turns the sky kind of dark, and then he has these horns and he uses his extra set of arm wing things more often than not. Anyway, let's talk about, you know, his weaknesses first off. First and foremost, if you are bringing you some fire, then you are in good hands, because this monster is indubitably weak to that of fire. And also, if you know, just so happen to have dragon, if you have dragon for whatever reason, he's weak to dragon. And to top it off, rounded off nicely, thunder as well. So fire, dragon, thunder. If you have either of those three, then you're in good hands to fight this guy. Granted, you might not have dragon just yet. You might, it might GHT, big might, but you should have you some fire or some thunder. Any one of these things should be very useful to fight the guy with. If you just recently fought Glavenus, for those of you who want to get on my punctuation, pronunciation is different. But if you want to get on with me for that, it's Glavenus. Regardless, use his weapons. They're fire. They're amazing fire weapons, if you will. I'm using his lance right now, so you can totally run that if you want. Granted, if you don't want to do that, if you're a Rathalos guy and you know that the Rathalos weapons are going to be the better weapons, bar none, not necessarily bar none, but in a good amount come the end of the game, then you can totally just run those instead. Regardless, run whatever you like, dragon, thunder, fire, and you should be in good hands. Now, his armor is actually very interesting. His armor is actually better than it was before, in my total opinion. His armor is actually an evasion set, if you will. It has evasion and frenzy resistance. Now, frenzy, we'll get to in a hot second, is his, I'm gonna go into detail in that in a hot second, but is his special element. That's all this black stuff all on the ground. That's what's on my body, whatever. We'll get to that in a little second. But as evasion, so evasion is a very good ability for those of you who know what evasion is all about. The ability to actually evade through monster attacks and be invulnerable, rather, when you do so. Gives you extra frames of invulnerability, so that way, instead of blocking or using a depth, you can just sidestep or roll through monster attacks, which is very useful. I believe it gives you +2 into it right off the jump, and I'm pretty sure you can just, like, you know, gem in evasion 3 if it's still a thing. I haven't checked because I'm not an evasion kind of guy, but evasion's good. Evasion 2 is great all by itself. So if you like evasion and you're looking for a better evasion set, well, not necessarily a better, but one with more defense, then you can probably pick you out some Gore Magala. Now, with that being said, let's move back over to the frenzy. Now, frenzy is this special ability, well, special element, if you will. It's interesting. It's very interesting. You can get hit by it by either being hit by one of its attacks or stepping in one of its little frenzy pools on the ground or whatever. And you have like a slow ticker at the bottom of your screen, or underneath your health bar, and it'll be slowly moving all the way up. Now, if you hit the monster enough before the bar itself gets filled, you will actually get a buff, dealing extra, what was it? I think it was extra affinity to monsters who like are frenzied. But I want to say in this case, since there is no more frenzy monsters, things like that, you just do extra damage to that of Gore Magala. Now, granted though, if you do not fill it, if you do not beat the virus, if you will, because it is a virus, if you do not beat the virus by hitting the monster enough times, you will be ailed by this frenzy, if you will, and you will do additional damage to yourself. Like if a monster who has the frenzy, i.e. Gore Magala, hits you, it'll have additional damage done to you. So, you know, like you get hit harder, I guess you could just say. I mean, hey, you beat it, you do more damage. If you don't beat it, you yourself will receive more damage. So you kind of want to beat it. All right, I totally recommend you guys beating it. But moving away from his armor, because armor is actually really good. Look into it if you want evasion. Granted, frenzy only comes from him, so maybe it's a very situational kind of armor set. But regardless, his weapons, those weapons are actually very interesting. They have incredibly high affinity for a weapon that actually has an element. The attack itself isn't that high. It won't necessarily be that high, but the element, the affinity, and the sharpness for the weapon are all very high numbers. So I mean, if you like use some affinity, if you like use some sharpness, then I mean, hey, for dragon, you can't really go too bad with this guy. I mean, you can't really go too bad. You really can't. I mean, it's a great piece of dragon equipment off the jump. There are going to be other dragon weapons that you'll probably, you know, switch over to, i.e. Alotron, maybe even some of the Fatalis weapons if you ever get around to making some. But for starters, I will say, yes, for starters, this is probably going to be some of your first dragon weapons. I mean, yo, you can't really get mad at it. So run it if you can, obviously. I totally recommend it. I'm going to actually make his gun lance, truth be told, and maybe even his greatsword. I haven't made his greatsword last time, but I'm probably going to make his greatsword this time because, heck, why not? Well, with that being said, let's talk about a couple of things that you should probably understand or know when fighting this guy. He has two forms, if you will. You have his standard form, is the form that I'm fighting right now, and then you have his, I'm just going to call his Super Frenzy form, alright, or just Phase 1, Phase 2. Okay, either one of them. They're probably called official names, but right here, we're not very official, we're not very professional, we're just me. So anyway, when fighting him in his standard form, you can just, you know, do what you do. It's not too rough, but I will tell you how to actually fight the guy. He actually shoots, have you seen right then, he shoots a couple of fireballs, not fireballs, let's call them dark balls, because they're not fire. If you get hit with them, they'll give you the frenzy, so let's just call them dark balls. He'll shoot a series of dark balls. He'll shoot one, which travels along the ground. He can shoot another one, which kind of like, well, another series where it's, you know, left, right, center, if you will. And then, I don't know if he does it in his standard form, or it's if he rarely does it, but he will, like, take in a deep breath and then, like, sweep with his breath, and the breath itself actually does a lot of AoE, and it's a very hard-hitting attack, and you'll see it. It's just a very devastating attack if you get hit by it. But that's his breaths, okay? He has, you know, he has very standard, you know, Wyvern type attacks when he's in his normal form. Nothing too crazy, you know what I mean? He can actually charge you. He can fly low, things like that. He can do his breaths when he flies low. He can charge when he flies. I mean, he's very basic stuff in his normal form. But it's his phase 2 that you really need to worry about, which is where I'm right now. The sky goes dark, and that's the one I was talking about. And then he like expels it in either forward pattern, or he'll wave it on the ground. When he does it in the forward pattern, it's like explosion. It'll be an explosion, like one explosion in the center, another explosion like further up, and then the third explosion will be on either side. So I mean, it's pretty cool, I will say that. But he has another ability where, not necessarily an ability, he has, I guess you could say, 6 appendages, okay? Where normal wyverns, they only have their legs and their wings. Pseudo wyverns have their legs and their wings, and their front legs are attached to the same thing. Whereas the Gore Magala will have front legs, back legs, and then a neck. His wings itself are actual, you know, pseudo wyvern legs, like, as well. So it's kind of weird, kind of creepy, if you will. But he will use those arms, their powerful arms rather, to actually pin you or do like this incredibly powerful tremor style attack. If he slams down with it and you get hit by it, you're gonna get lifted. It's gonna do a lot of damage. It's pretty crazy. So that's why I recommend, if you will be fighting this guy in his form here, save your mounts and save your traps and save as many immobilizing things as you can, because he hits hard, he moves a lot, and it's pretty tough to fight this guy like this. Okay, he has all these additional moves that you really have to watch out for. I mean, if anything, play this guy a little bit back. Absolutely play him back, so that way you can actually see what you can actually do to capitalize on some of the things that he does. Okay, like his breath though, the breath I told you about with the explosions, it's very hard to actually counter. Like, I haven't found a successful way to counter it yet. I mean, even with guard 2, you kind of have to hold it a little bit. So you kind of just have to like understand that, okay, let him have his turn when it comes to it, or if you know he's about to do it, or you see him about to do it, either strafe around him or use an ability, or hunter art rather, like absolute evasion to go through it, so that way you can actually punish him when he's doing the attack, because there's a lot of recovery on that attack. Like when he's doing it, he's stuck to that one attack for quite some time. So look for ways to get in like that. Another thing that he really likes to do when he has this extra set of wings out is like he likes to just slam with them. Like he doesn't necessarily have better mobility with it, but he will just throw a hand out real quick like he's doing there to do some quick damage. They're not necessarily going to do any real tremor. That's only when he throws both of them up and rears his body up to slam down, which he'll do that. But it's definitely something you have to watch out for, because it has deceptively good range. So totally watch for that. But other than that, again, like I said, guys, play him a little far back. He does act a little bit crazier when he's in this form. This is his real form, I guess you could say, because the standard form is very standard. You don't really need tips to fight a standard form. It's just like, you know, adjust on the fly. But his new and improved phase 2 form is where he, like I say, he gets a little crazy, does considerable damage, and what have you. So with that being said, everyone, I will recommend that if you are going to be fighting this guy, you can either run adept or aerial. Actually, any style is very good to fight the guy with. I mean, but if you want to take full advantage of him in his phase 2 form, you can run aerial to get as many mounts as you can to keep him down, so that way you can just beat him into a pulp. But with that being said, if you want to use any other weapons, you totally can. I want to say I've had success using all weapon types with this guy, because he is a pretty standard weapon in terms of body type. You can get away with practically anything. So that's all the things that I have to say about this guy today. This has been the Gore Magala, if you will. If you found this video helpful, you know, let me know that my videos are doing good, so that way I know what I'm doing is actually right for you people. And with that being said, I said it like 4 times. Like, I legit said, with that being said, a 4-word phrase, like, okay, I guess like 5 times now. Regardless, it's been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself, and as always, may the Desire Sensor forever be in your favor.